Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bodier.
Present.
Councilman Chatelain.
Present.
Councilman Hewitt.
Present.
Councilman Landry.
Present.
Councilman Murray.
Present.
Mayor Mosca.
Present.
Police Chief Dickinson.
Present.
Fire Chief St. Cyr. City Attorney Purcell.
Present.
Before we go to special presentations, I want to acknowledge that Councilman Paul Johnson's here from Jefferson Parish 2nd District, and we appreciate his presence. And also, we certainly want to congratulate Ms. Michelle Hunter on her most recent marriage. I've never seen a person as elated as I've seen this evening. Her face is bright and her personality is beaming with, I think, joy. And we're blessed to have you here, Michelle. Congratulations.
Right.
Hopefully you'll put that in the paper.
You got to say a few words.
We have a special presentation from IESI. We'll do that now. Barry?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I'm Barry Boardlawn. I'm Municipal Marketing Representative for IESI Progressive Waste. And with me tonight is Ms. Julie Tefero, who is our recycling coordinator. And we're here tonight by invitation to briefly discuss our recycling program. And as you all know, that we are presently a solid waste provider here in Harahan, and we've been very proud to have that business. Also, recently, the parish of Jefferson has selected us to do a once-a-week curbside collection of recyclables for 144,000 residential units in Jefferson Parish. When you came in, we had an opportunity to bring our very first brand new recycle truck, who it arrived in Jefferson Parish less than 24 hours ago. And so we brought it over here and show you the type of vehicle that we would use should we do recycling in the city of Harahan. It's a state-of-the-art piece of equipment. It's pretty unique. It does not burn diesel or gasoline. That truck is going to be operated on compressed natural gas, which we all know is environmentally friendly. That goes hand in hand with our recycling program. With that being said, I'd like to turn it over to Julie to talk for a minute about the program, the collectibles, what's acceptable, what's not, and the procedure used in the recycle program. After that, we'd be glad to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you.
Mr. Farrell.
Hi.
How you doing?
Thank you for having us. As Barry stated, we start recycling in Jefferson Parish on July 2nd, which is in 2 weeks. The containers that we will be recycling are these 18 gallons. And I brought a few recyclable materials. I know everyone knows what those materials are, but it's a nice visual to see. This is just a few items, everyone uses. Tide containers.
David.
Anything plastic. Everyone drinks tea, I believe. No, I should say everyone drinks coffee. Water bottles, anything paper, any cardboard, aluminum, Coca-Cola cans, tin. I gave you guys a list, but that's everything that can be recycled. If you pay attention to the materials you throw away, the majority of the materials are recyclable. So in a household, the statistics are 75% of your materials are recyclable. So we do not accept food, glass, wood, or styrofoam. Do you guys have any questions, or is there anything else that...
What is that truck that's outside in front of our building?
That is the newest recycle truck. It just was delivered last night. We will use 9 of those vehicles to do the Jefferson Parish contract.
Now, if Harahan decides to go with recycling, we will utilize one of those trucks?
Now, we will have to buy an additional truck.
And that would be your burden?
Yes, sir.
In other words, we can't really piggyback on Jefferson Parish because they have so many trucks.
Right.
that are going to be used day to day.
Right.
We need our own truck.
And just like our solid waste contract with the parish of Jefferson, every one of those trucks are numbered, either EJ 1 through 20 or WJ 1 through 20, and those trucks are specifically dedicated to Jefferson Parish. It's part of the parish requirement.
And you think one truck will be enough?
Yes, for the city of Harahan.
We have a lot of waste.
Yeah, well, that's our problem. Once we sign a contract with you, if we need 1 truck or 10 trucks, whatever that contract calls for, we have to provide the equipment to make that
And
happen.
you provide the manpower also?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How much manpower is needed for the truck?
That'll probably be a 2-person vehicle, just a driver and one, as we call them, hoppers to step out and empty the bin in the back of the truck. We're also developing a recycling plant on the West Bank where your recyclables will be processed right here in Jefferson Parish. We'll commingle them in the truck, and they'll get to the recyclery where they'll go through a sorting process there, and there'll be all the various materials will be separated. Some years ago, there was a technique where you had a truck with separate compartments in it where the handler would have to take this bin right here and get out and go put plastics in this one, paper in another one, and it just wasn't efficient. It was more efficient to commingle everything, get it to the plant, and sort it there.
And if, so there's really no sorting in the truck itself?
No, sir. No, sir. And that's why if somebody decided to put garbage in it or something like that, one advantage of the bin is, and one reason why Jefferson Parish went with a bin versus the carts was when the hopper gets out and he looks in this bin, he knows that's a clean bin of recyclables. We all know we're going to have somebody who's going to have a bin full of crawfish shells or crab shells or whatever, and we will not service that. We'll leave that at the curb.
Now, do you inform our residents if we argue with a door knock or something, what they can do, what they can't do?
Yes, we will, that would be part of our negotiation process and part of our contractual process. We do certain things like for instance, in Jefferson Parish, they will assume the responsibility of communicating. If you want to communicate with their residents as well as us, what I would suggest is when this bin is delivered, that we jointly have a flyer that goes in there, explains what materials can and cannot go in the bin, tell them what collection days.
Would we be able to use a sticker or something, or no? A sticker?
Yeah, we can talk about all of that. Yes, sir.
Okay, right now we're in the process of your coming up with a price to present to us. You're not prepared to do that this evening, but probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks you would present us a proposal, right?
Yes, so we've had some very short conversations, and that we're prepared to offer what I think is an extremely aggressive number for the city of Harahan. To give you an idea, and the markets have changed, and that, but pre-Katrina, curbside recycling was running 3.25, things like that, and it's significantly better numbers nowadays.
Mm-hmm. And if we approve it, it takes about 30 days to implement or more.
Well, it just depends on how soon we get a piece of equipment in. Now, by that time, Jefferson Parish is online, and again, I don't want to step on our operational people's toes, but if that or another contract, if we had an opportunity to start quicker than us getting that individual truck, we'd be willing to do so. We'll start as quick as we can. We can start quicker than anybody else. Let me say that because, we're in the process of buying those trucks and whatever.
All right, any questions? Cindy, if you?
I just wanted to know, what is it going to cost the individual homeowner?
That's what we're negotiating.
Okay.
He has to present that to us.
Okay, but do we have an estimate? Just
Not yet.
at least? Okay. And the next question is, if it costs the homeowner, or where are we going to put that fee? And
Well, that would be a decision made by the council.
Okay, so where, and depends upon where we put that fee. What if someone doesn't want to recycle, can they opt out of that?
That's another decision that we made by the council.
And can we put a fee on their tax bill or anything?
We do the water bill, tax bill.
But I mean, is the, are the residents supposed to vote on that because it would be
No.
a fee or a tax?
No. Now, we have, I mean, you could call an election for it. I mean, that's up to you if you want to go that route, but
I mean,
we
I
have
don't know
we have residents on a daily basis, Madam Clerk.
Yeah, I think we looked at that before.
On a
this-
daily basis, we're getting emails, right?
Right.
Yes, sir.
How's it running, nay and pro and con right now?
For
People in favor?
recycling, oh, everybody, everyone, I'm getting emails every
But
day.
they know that
for
there's
the
a
past
fee
few
involved?
months. They know that there will be a fee. A lot of
Okay.
people have, different, their own recycle company that they go by, but
Yeah, two of my
But I
neighbors.
mean, they're-
everyone
yeah.
is
But they are aware that
for
it's,
it.
they want recycling, but are they aware that there's a fee attached to that? Is that in the
everybody's
survey or
basically
whatever
just
we're
saying that they
doing?
want, they want recycling. They're paying their own recycling right now, so I'm sure.
Well, the majority of emails
the
we get
mayor's
are people
still-
that are paying for it now.
The
May I-
mayor's still negotiating, but I think, and I certainly want to give a number, but the last time we talked about fees, it was very, very minimal.
Right.
Okay, and I don't remember that general amount. Can I ask the attorney if we did look into that a while ago
We
about
did, I
whether we
think it's
put
a
it?
fee, not a tax.
It's
I
a
think
fee,
we
not a
looked at it for
tax.
garbage before, and
It's
that
like
was
a-
not,
We had it before in Harahan.
yeah, we had it once
Yeah, I remember
before.
we did, yes.
Yeah, I remember looking at it. I think it's considered a fee, not a tax.
It's okay, so we wouldn't have to have a vote of the people on it because it's not.
And I'll be
a-
sure of that, but we've looked at it before.
Right, okay. And that was just a couple of my questions on that.
We didn't
I
vote
am-
for it on Jefferson Parish.
uh,
We didn't vote for it. I mean, it wasn't an election for Jefferson Parish.
No.
They just
No,
went
I-
through it.
Just making sure, because we are different, we're Larson Act versus them Home Rule Charter, so I just want to make sure. But the other thing was too, is that I am definitely in favor of recycling and have been for many years, try to do as much as possible. And I know some other people that do that live in other areas, and I think it's an excellent thing for us to do. The next question I have, if, as we have with our garbage right now, people who are unable to bring this carton to the front, or let's say people who have disadvantaged, handicapped, so forth, will we still have that same advantage for the elderly and people like that, that they will go and pick that up?
Yes, ma'am. Those are all items that are addressed once you negotiate a contract. And, you can put anything in your contract that you would like. And, there's numbers equated to that. But just like the garbage contract, if there's a there's certain system used to identify whether someone is handicapped and maybe, like me, not necessarily want to drag my bin out to the street, but those people that qualify, yes, we go to the
Right, because
door
we
and
do
we
have
get the
several,
container.
right, we do have
Yes.
several right now that they do that for our garbage.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Too, so I want to make sure if these people want to do it also,
And
that
I'm
they
sure
would
we
have that
can
ability.
put those same provisions in the contract.
Councilman Hewitt?
Thank you.
Yeah, I just have one question. Will the recycle pickup be coordinated with our trash pickup same day?
That's, again,
Again,
those are
that's in
things
your
that we're gonna,
contract?
that's things that we're gonna talk about. Right now, what we're doing with Jefferson Parish is just that. In most areas, what we're gonna do is we're gonna collect recyclables on the first collection day. Because generally, the second collection day is what we try to call for bulky waste and that. So, yes, where somebody won't have to be every day bringing some kind of bin out to the street. and that.
Yeah, you'd have a better turnout and people.
Absolutely, and we want it, we want as many people to recycle as we can in that, and we're gonna do everything we can to make materials available to, the schools and church and youth groups and whatever, because I'll be honest with you, in this day and time, it's the kids who really drive, they're more, if you would, in tune to recycling, if you would, than I am, because, I grew up in a throwaway society. But yes, to answer your question is yes, we would coordinate that with one of the collection days.
Just to understand, if you have pickup Tuesday, Friday, your recycle would be on the Tuesday, not both days a week.
Either that, unless for some operational reason you'd want to do it on on the second collection day, but it would be on a collection day. And we're doing the first collection day in Jefferson Parish. Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Landry?
Oh, I'm just really excited, and thank y'all for coming tonight, that this is going to look like it's going to happen. My question is the bins. And we spoke briefly before. I really like that little garbage can. Give me the pros and cons of both. I mean, these seem to get, when it gets all wet, you know, it makes a mess.
Exactly. And I'll tell you the rationale of Jefferson Parish and some other communities of going, listen, the bins properly used for us would give us the ability to get more materials, and that's what we want, as much material as we can get in that bin. However, just human nature, they got a 96-gallon cart that they put their garbage in, and let's say they got a 40-gallon cart that for recyclables. A large percentage of them wind up being garbage cans. And you gotta roll it out there, you take, then the load's contaminated and whatever. That's the rationale. It will add a few cents to your contract also, because obviously the roller cart, in maintaining that cart also is more expensive than this bin. As I said before, when that operator gets in, he looks in this bin, he knows if it's a good load or it's not. But if it would be the decision of this council and this mayor to, you wanted carts, we'd be more than glad to negotiate that with you.
Presently, are we getting prices both ways, or are we just getting prices?
Go both ways.
Yeah.
That's what I have. Thank you so much.
Councilman Shelley?
I believe a lot of citizens are very excited about the recycling. Only problem I had when we had recycling previous is your guys who go to dump the cart, and I know they were separating everything. If you got something that wasn't recyclable, it's in your front yard. You know, and we've had that, I've seen it numerous times. And the kids are throwing the stuff in the recycling bins, and I was the kid and I was guilty. I'd throw the laundry detergent thing in the recycling bin, and every week that laundry detergent bin was in our front yard. My dad said no more recycling. So we need to have a trash can in the cart or something, because the kids are gonna throw it in there, and if it gets thrown in the yard, the citizens are gonna quit recycling.
One thing that eliminates a lot of that is those plastics that wasn't acceptable then are acceptable now. So that doesn't come out of the bin. There's not a, unless they put some bricks in there, and, you know, some 2x4s and stuff like that, we're pretty much gonna take it.
Good. I
We're
think
not gonna throw it in the front yard.
we're very excited. I know a lot of citizens, when I knock doors, a lot of them said they want recycling bags. So yeah, I think they're very excited to have it
I don't
back.
know if it touched Harahan when they did it, but Jefferson Parish did a poll, did a survey on a number of items, and recycling was one. And it overwhelmingly came back that they wanted. And another question was, if you have it, would you pay for it? And the answers were still overwhelmingly positive, because people wanted to do that. That's why we so aggressively pursued that.
How will it benefit Jefferson Parish to start processing their own recyclables? You said that there are future.
We're processing.
I mean, yeah. You know, how will that help us in scaling our money back, and how does it help Jefferson Parish? What benefits do you have for us in
Well,
processing
what the benefit of us, I would say, processing our own materials, we don't have to collect your recyclables and haul it to another company, let's say in Baton Rouge, and haul it to them, transfer it into a 18-wheeler, haul it to them and get them, you know, there's cost involved in all of that. We bought a recycle processing company, and we're going to do the processing, and it's going to be done right here. So Harahan coming and then being able to utilize, we being your collector, going to our recycle plant, is you'll benefit from those economics.
So it'll help keep our rates down.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Murray?
Mr. Waterlawn, can you tell me if you have any numbers on how much you think by recycling it will decrease our amount of tonnage in our regular garbage?
Well, in your last, I would not be able to give you a true estimate right now, but in your last negotiation of your solid waste contract, we assumed your tonnage does no longer affect you. We, through a very lengthy process, and the mayor's good about squeezing a lot of blood out of a turnip,
Yes, he is.
we looked at your several years of your disposal, your tonnage, and that it generally does not change too much. We can dispose of your garbage cheaper than you can, for the simple reason we handle so much. So we got a volume we get a volume discount. So in your last garbage contract, what we were able to do is negotiate, let us pay for your garbage. That's going to save us, that's going to even make our tonnage go higher, where we maybe get a little better rate. It's going to be, we were able to pass some of that savings on to the city, so you were able to extend your current collection contract. Now you don't have the administrative deal, you don't have the administrative responsibility of reviewing your tonnages, because no matter what they are, we have to pay it.
So what we did was we got rid of our Jefferson Parish contract of this tonnage
Yes.
fee. I didn't know that.
Yes, and it comes to us.
Right, I
And
understand the
we are legally bound that we have to go to any properly certified Subtitle
only
D
one right now.
landfill. Right now, that your solid waste is going to River Birch.
Right.
Simply because we get a better rate there.
Are y'all doing transfer stations, or y'all going to River Birch too?
We go directly from here to River Birch.
River Birch, so y'all
Right
do
now.
it.
Now, we're taking over, we've also won the landfill contract in Jefferson Parish. We will be operating the parish's landfill. In the future, there may be a better rate available for us to go to Jefferson Parish, and we'll take it wherever that rate is the best, is where we're going to bring that rate.
But we don't have to worry about tonnage
No, ma'am.
administration anymore,
It's not going to affect
reconciling
you.
bills and so
But if your
forth.
tonnage doubles during
did
the
we
length
do
of this
that?
contract, I hope it don't, but if it does,
When did we do that, Mayor? When did we do that
When did we do it?
contract?
not long,
This year?
yes, right after the first of the year, I guess. And it was good for us, and it enabled the city to get away from that administrative process, plus save some money.
I well understand that. Thank you. I had one more question, but if I think about it, I'll give you a call.
Please, call
I
me,
can't.
email
There was
me,
one other thing
myself,
I wanted to ask.
or Julie, and we'll be glad to, and come back at any time you'd like.
All right. Thank you
very
so
much.
much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, but you cannot keep the truck.
Can we ride in it for a while?
even in a place anymore.
And put everybody in the back?
If you'd like, man, I'll leave this here if you want it, in case I'll put it in the lobby in case the
Perfect.
citizens
Yeah,
want
put
to
it
look
right
at
by
it.
the podium. Great. Next,
Put us in the back.
we'll ride.
I'm not getting it.
We have a special presentation, and Father Kiff can come up here. We all stand up. This is Father Kiff. We'll give him the royal treatment. Welcome. Gather in, come on in. Don't be afraid.
Photo op time.
He's hearing confessions after this is over. Councilman Johnson, confessions right afterwards. The city of Harahan proudly presents a special award to Father Kiff for his total dedication and self-sacrifice in assisting the citizens of Harahan with their day-to-day needs. And so we want to present this special plaque and have everybody shake their hand. We're losing him to another parish.
Thank you so much.
Hopefully you'll come back and visit.
Yes, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Let's say a few words. Pray for us.
You want to say a few words? Good.
Pray for us. We need a lot of help.
Thank you.
Left that in the wash.
I know you've heard many people, leaders say this sort of thing, and now I realize just how true it is. It's really not I who've earned this, but it's the congregation of St. Rita. And when I came to Harahan, I was impressed with the level of faith that the citizens of Harahan have, and the congregation of St. Rita and what they do for the people of Harahan. I I know we take care of the folks of Harahan on physical needs. We have our food pantry out back there by the KC Hall that helps the needy. We have the St. Vincent de Paul Society. They help the needy in a very real way. And then, of course, we have our youth groups that provide for the faith needs of our kids. And in turn, that also helps with other things as citizens. When people learn to be people of faith, they learn to be people, good citizens, and contribute to their society. And that's what our kids are doing. So, once again, thank you for this plaque, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And the congregation of St. Rita appreciates it. So thank you.
Any other presentations, Chief? Council? Next, address the council. Anyone wishing to address the council may do so now. Don't hesitate. Open line. Approval of the minutes, Madam Clerk.
Reading of the minutes.
Oh, we'll get Tim.
Yes? Yes, sir.
New business.
I don't know if it's the right time to talk about this, but thank you for having me here. And I don't know if it's the right time to talk. I'm here about the liquor, the high alcohol.
Towards the end of the docket.
Oh, that's why, I don't know.
Can we?
Let me know what
Can we amend the?
Yeah, we can amend the rules. Basically, go to new business.
Motion to amend.
High content AB, motion by Murray, second by Hewitt. To amend. All those in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. This is a new business, high content ABO application doing business Harahan Cheap Smokes for 6492 Jefferson Highway. I think there's a motion to defer by Chatelain, second by Bodier. Yes. We still are lacking certain documents in connection with the vote on this, so it's going to be deferred. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays.
And y'all will get with him to see what
Yeah.
documentation he needs
Right.
to fulfill that? Okay.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Was he aware of the lacking of documentation at the time?
What, I'm sorry, what is it exactly? I'm like,
Were you aware that there is lacking of documentation?
what exactly?
Well, I think he didn't know that certain things didn't come back yet.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So what they're telling me is that evidently certain
Approvals.
approvals from the chief or from the different organizations that we have to be able to give you the approval evidently did not come back yet. So evidently, as soon as those come back, we'll put it on the docket when those come back so that you can get you can get a vote back up with us.
Okay.
It's-
We can't vote
Next
until
one.
we have the paper.
Tell them next one. Thank you all so much.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, approval of the council minutes?
Reading of the minutes of the council meeting on May 17th, 2012.
Motion.
Motion by Landry.
Second.
Second by Bodier to dispense with the reading of the minutes. All those in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. Motion by Landry, second by Chatelain to approve those minutes. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. Madam Clerk, communications?
The Board of Adjustments and Appeals did not meet in May, and the Planning and Zoning Board did not meet in June.
All right, resolutions.
Resolution. This is number 1. The following resolution was offered by Councilman Murray and seconded by Councilman... Don't need a second? A resolution respectfully requesting assistance from Jefferson Parish Councilman Paul Johnston, District 2, for tree removal in the city of Harahan. Whereas the city of Harahan is a city within the parish of Jefferson, and whereas the city of Harahan is requesting removal of a tree at 409 Gordon Avenue to allow the Jefferson Parish Water Department to replace a fire hydrant. Now therefore be it resolved by the Harahan City Council, acting as governing authority of said city, that the city of Harahan respectfully requests assistance from Jefferson Parish Councilman Paul Johnston, District 2, with tree removal to allow Jefferson Parish Water Department to replace a fire hydrant. Let's see.
Any discussion? Next resolution.
Vote on this?
What?
Do we vote on it? We don't vote?
All those in favor?
Okay.
Any opposed? Unanimous, 5 yeas, no nays. Madam Clerk?
All right, number 2, the following resolution was offered by Councilman Landry. A resolution respectfully requesting assistance from Jefferson Parish Councilman Paul Johnston, District 2, to replace damaged safety traffic markings in the city of Harahan. Whereas the damaged safety traffic markings and right and left turn arrows are located on Oak Avenue at Riverside Drive. And whereas the damaged safety traffic markings for right and left turn lane signs located on Oak Avenue at Riverside Drive. Now therefore be it resolved by the Harahan City Council, acting as governing authority of said city, that the city of Harahan respectfully requests assistance from Jefferson Parish Councilman Paul Johnston, District 2, for replacing damaged safety traffic markings.
Okay. No, any discussion? All in favor?
Yay.
Unanimous. Next.
And the third resolution, the following resolution was offered by Councilman Landry. A resolution respectfully requesting assistance from Jefferson Parish Councilman Paul Johnston, District 2, for concrete street maintenance in the city of Harahan. Whereas the city of Harahan is requesting assistance on O'Neill Drive to replace 4 panels and 3 aprons. Now therefore be it resolved by the Harahan City Council, acting as governing authority of said city, that the city of Harahan respectfully requests assistance from Jefferson Parish Councilman Paul Johnson, District 2, for concrete street maintenance on O'Neill Drive.
Any discussion? All in favor? 5 yeas and no days. Paul Johnson for president.
Thank you so much, Councilman
We
Johnston.
appreciate the work you're doing for us, and I look forward to doing some more. But thank you very much for your sensitivity to this and your dedication to help our city. Next, ordinances for public hearing.
For approval. The following ordinance was introduced by Councilman Chatelain and seconded by Councilman
ODA.
Boudier. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 1333, Section 11, C1 Neighborhood Commercial District, Section B Permitted Uses. Whereas the Planning and Zoning Commission of the City of Harahan did recommend the said plan of change as indicated thereon. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the City of Harahan, State of Louisiana, acting as the governing authority of said city, that Section 1, Ordinance Number 1333, Section 11, C1 Neighborhood Commercial District, Section B Permitted Uses to read as follows. Let's see. General retail services. The square footage allowable by the City of Harahan in general retail services occupying more than 10,000 square feet in floor area will be decided on a case-by-case basis upon the square footage requested on the original application to the City of Harahan. Also upon the review and recommendation decision of the requested square footage by the Harahan Planning and Zoning Commission, and upon the approval and final vote by the Harahan City Council on an ordinance permitting the use and square footage of the individual project application, subject to the veto power of the mayor. Let's see, Section 13A, repair establishments similar in character to those enumerated in this section, but occupying not more than 10,000 square feet in floor area. Section 2, the servability and repeal clause as referenced in Ordinance number 1566 is incorporated into this ordinance.
Okay, motion open for public hearing.
Motion.
Motion by Landry, second by Chatelain. All in favor? Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. This is now open for public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the council can do so at this time. David.
Sorry.
Good afternoon. Bill Stang on Jefferson Highway across from Colonial Club. My good buddy Ashley is not here tonight. Y'all like save a little time. I just want to go on record again that I would love to see the Colonial Club area stay residential and be developed residential. Obviously, that's a wishful thought. I know Harahan is a conglomerate of residential and commercial being built in a friendly environment and up and down the street. We're probably going to see something commercial on the front footage of Colonial Club Drive. I'm sorry, Colonial Club facing Jefferson Highway. Probably won't be able to stop it because the 35 or 40 people that this is truly going to affect in property value and aesthetics of the homes and things of that nature is not a majority of people in the city of Harahan that needs this. I know the council has a job to do to identify where we can increase the tax revenue to keep the city of Harahan solid and solvent and getting things done. I guess we still have an option down the road of working towards the residential because it's going to have to be changed to C1. And we'll have ability to talk about it then and try to negotiate a no or yes. But I'm not giving up the fight. I'd like to say it residential. But I would like to say, yeah, if we do something commercial there, which is probably what's going to end up happening, let's put some effort behind it to make sure that we're not affecting the flooding in the areas. It's to my understanding that I've heard that the particular, the topography of Colonial Club, the majority of the front footage is where a lot of the water retention is when we have heavy rains. Now, if we take that front footage and that acreage there and build it up for commercial, that's a lot of concrete, a lot of building, and it's going to be raised up to the Jefferson Highway, whatever the ordinance calls for. That water's got to go somewhere. Trust y'all to make sure that whoever gets in there to develop that property identifies where that water is going to go and where it's going to stay until it can disperse through the ditches and so on and so forth. I don't care, pump to the river. I talked to, a couple of people about that. That's a strong possibility that's going to happen eventually. I don't know if it's going to be before or after the commercial development there. Again, assuming that it's going to be there. Is that going to take the water? Can we get that done? Or does that developer have to do something to make sure that water goes somewhere and stays somewhere other than in our homes? The last thing I would like to say about commercial is a lot of people here have probably driven across Causeway and gone down the Causeway Boulevard in Mandeville. Look on both sides of that highway. Look at the facades of the commercial buildings there, and that's probably zone major industrial type deal. It's not residential, but it looks extremely, extremely, extremely nice. It's friendly. It's inviting to go up to. I've been to Virginia. I've been to Florida. A lot of new construction is mandated that it has to be eye appealing and acceptable to the folks. Not a, I don't want to use, I hope he's not in the office, but we just had a snowball stand built. It looks like it needs to be on a country road, but it's on the front footage of Jefferson Highway. I don't know how we do that. How we put the things up like that. We want Harahan to look beautiful. Well, that doesn't look beautiful. If something's going to go across the highway from me, I would hope that it is going to be developed and going to have some strict restrictions on it, that it is going to be friendly to the neighbors, the 35 or 40 people that it is truly going to affect. Low-level lighting, I don't want 24-hour daylight, good landscaping, nice facade. That's all I ask. I can't stop what's inevitable that's going to happen. So I might as well start fighting for something that's going to at least not hit me as hard as hit me below the belt. Okay?
Thank you.
Enough said.
Thank you.
All righty.
Anyone else wish to address the council?
I agree. We got to do something about this.
Judy Johnson. I don't think this concerns Colonial. I think it concerns the whole city. If you change this, you're eliminating the other categories afterwards, because C neighborhood commercial will be able to handle everything all the way up to industrial. It will have no limit. It will affect every piece of property in this city. There is no rule that says a developer can't come in and buy half a Hickory Street, tear those apartments down, and put a commercial shopping center there. While commercial may be good for the city, it is not necessarily good for everybody. We have an extreme amount of buildings, commercial buildings, that are empty. Fill those first. Get them back into commerce, and then worry about creating more. You've got a 50,000 square foot building right over here that's empty. Been there a couple of years. It's got plenty of parking, and that's another problem in Harahan, parking. You want to know why the businesses don't last? Nobody can park. You're backing out on Jefferson Highway, and it's really dangerous. So fill what we have first, then talk to me about creating more commercial. But this ordinance is a bad ordinance.
Anyone else wish to address the council? All right, motion to close the public hearing by Chatelain, second by Bodie. All in favor? Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. Discussion. First, Mr. Valavasso, you want to say something? And then Mr. Charlet, you want to say something after that?
Sure. Steve Lavasso, working as city planner for the city of Harahan. I'll just make a couple of opening comments and be glad to answer any questions anybody has. First, what this ordinance does is it fixes a flaw that has existed in 1333 for about 3 or 4 years when we were working on a series of warehouse zoning changes on Hickory a few years ago, when the wording to limit the size of retail establishments that have warehousing in it to less than 10,000 square feet got reworded and mixed up with the C1 classifications. That mistake rolled forward, and this clears that up first. Secondly, what this does is this takes different pieces of our ordinance that already exist and kind of puts them in one package to give a property owner a clear checklist of what they have to do if they want to develop a piece of property in a C1 district that has more than 10,000 square feet. And third and last, I'd like to say that what this does is this gives the citizens of Harahan, the Planning Commission, and the council complete review, control, and authority, and the mayor, too, I might point out, because it specifically calls out the mayor's veto power, which he has anyway. But it gives all of the levels of our government, including the citizens, complete control to review and to discuss and to decide what is the proper development and how it should be developed in any proposed C1 project. So I'll be glad to answer any other questions anybody might have.
Yes.
Mr. Villavasso, can you refresh my memory? When you came in the beginning, you said something about to fix something, and I'm trying to remember. I know with warehouse, we had a discussion with that we didn't want to see nothing but warehouses on C1 on Hickory Street.
Correct.
But refresh my memory, how would, this is retail, general retail. Can you,
Before we added
what
that.
our thinking was
Sure.
on that?
Well, I'll tell you how we made the mistake. Not so sure what I think. Our thinking on the warehouses was that we didn't want any warehouses larger than 10,000 square feet on Hickory. And clearly, that was put into the rule. Prior to that, we had no limitation on warehouses, and we had no limitation on the size of any general retail service land uses in the C1 district. That is how it had been for many years. That's not unusual. Some communities have no limit on the size of a land use. Some do. If you have a land use category that has no size limit, you might say, well, what limits it? Well, what limits it is the size of the lot, the setbacks, the height requirements, and all the other details that are included in 1333 or a zoning ordinance of any other community. So prior to us putting that limitation in, we didn't have a limitation. And when we put in the limitation for the warehouses, we put it in the same number, 13, and we worded it incorrectly. And I don't think the intent was to limit general retail services, because we weren't talking about that back then. All we were talking about were warehouses. We fast forward a few years to I'd say in the last year, when we actually started talking about C1, And I'm not quite sure why we all focused on C1, and when I say we, I mean property owners and the planning commission and citizens, but there has been a lot of discussion about C1, and we realized that there was this limitation of 10,000 square feet. And if you read C2 before this, the permitted uses in C2 today include all the permitted uses in C1, and it doesn't mention general retail services. So in effect, we really don't have a way to develop any piece of property in the city of Harahan over 10,000 square feet, whether it's C1 or C2. All this does is it doesn't give any property a right to develop anything larger than 10,000 square feet. It gives you the right to review, approve, recommend, vote, hold public hearings, and to decide whether or not it's the right project for that piece of property.
Question. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Does that, you said locations don't have, several locations don't have a limitation in C1. Where are those locations?
What cities?
Yeah.
I'd have to give you a list of them, but
You said it so obviously, I thought you knew. New Orleans doesn't have it, right? Jefferson Parish.
New Orleans has some categories with size limitations and some that without size limitations.
I don't think anybody is above a 75,000 square foot.
Actually, excuse me, I'll give you a direct answer to your question. The C1 category in the City of New Orleans zoning ordinance, which is highway commercial, does not have a size limitation in it. The B1 category, which is the neighborhood business category in New Orleans, has a 5,000 square foot size limitation. So if you want to build a C1 use in New Orleans, you can build it as big as you want, as long as you have the right size lots, the right setbacks, and the right height limitations.
Yeah, I mean, you know, but the only thing I'm concerned with is the ceiling. There is no ceiling on this now. You're taking.
We didn't have a ceiling before.
It could be.
All right, let's do this. You can talk to them afterwards.
Okay.
Okay, so are you finished with your?
I'm happy to answer questions, sure.
So my next question is, we were talking about warehouse on this, but this is neighborhood commercial. This is not a C2. The neighborhood, and I reiterate some of the different types of research I've done that Jefferson Parish, Westwego, Gretna, and I have given out some of that information. All of those have a 10,000 or less, and in some cases, 7,500 on C1 because it's neighborhood. And I don't have our book in front of us to go over the C2,
Sure.
what it has, but what this is going to do, since we are a progressive area where what happens in C1 can happen in C2, which can happen in cumulative. Anyway, with having more than 10,000 square feet in this particular one, and I do realize that you're bound by the limits of the lot on this. So if a lot will not hold 11,000 square feet, obviously it won't go in it. But if someone chooses to have, say, buy up part of Jefferson Highway, or for instance, they can have 5 or 6 lots, and then they can put on as big as they want. If it's in C1, obviously if it's an R1, they'd have to ask for a zoning variance and so forth.
Zoning change.
Zoning change.
Yes.
My concern, all of the extra stuff that's added in here over and above the 10,000 square feet is already part of our ordinance. I think it's redundant putting it in here, and I have expressed that before. We know that the mayor has veto power. I don't know why that's in there. You know, he has veto power over anything and everything the council does, and why it has to be specified in there, I don't understand, but, I mean, that's the way he wrote it. And we always have final approval, the council has final approval on the ordinance. It's already there. Are we doing anything redundant on this?
I would agree that that there are parts of this that can be categorized as redundant that already exist in your powers and the mayor's powers.
Right.
And what this does is it brings it all together and clearly outlines the first criteria is what if you want to do something more than 10,000 square feet. Right now, there is no roadmap or checkbox or even a guiding principle for anyone who wants to build more than 10,000 square feet, other than asking you to change the whole ordinance. And I might point out that all this does is specifically refer to general retail services. We haven't changed the other first 12 uses in C1, and one of those, for example, is a bookstore. A bookstore is a permitted use in C1 with no size limitation. So a bookstore, and you can name any of the major bookstores in America today, could come into Harahan today and put a 50,000 square foot bookstore in C1 if they had a big enough piece of property, if they had the right setbacks, if they had the right heights, if they had the right front yard. No limitation. All this applies to is what we refer to general retail services. And what that means is anything that is not already enumerated in the ordinance. So we have about a dozen enumerated, and my example is bookstores. It's not, banks are not enumerated. Grocery stores are not enumerated. But for some reason, we had bookstores. So this general retail services is the way it's written, catches anything else that we didn't specifically call out when we wrote 1333 back then.
In C2, please help me remember, like I said, I don't have the book in front of me. In C2, we said that we didn't have anything generally specific in square footage for C2 in general retail services?
That's right.
Okay, so then since it's not specified, it can be done, correct?
It can be done under a cumulative theory, as you mentioned before, because the first permitted use in C2 is any permitted use in C1.
That is correct.
So the way you do it is you grab the whole list from C1 and you drag it into C2, and you can do all those things.
I'm recalling something at 25,000 square feet.
Office.
What was that?
It's office. It's specifically called out in
Called out
C2.
for
You
office.
can't have any office use greater than 25,000 square feet in C2.
Then I'm putting this out for suggestion, and I appeal to my fellow council people. Then instead of putting it in C1 and making it plus 10,000 square feet or having that, why not we change C2, which would be larger than, because this is neighborhood commercial, and I understand this whole city is neighborhood, but in neighborhood commercial, keep it at 10,000 like we have it, and then in C2, where it's more commercialized, put a general retail in that in the C2 section, then putting it in. And y'all are aware that I am not happy with this, and everybody knows that. I'm just trying to appeal that I think that there needs to be, and this is my thoughts on it, is that there needs to be a cap on C1 so that if somebody can't go right next to a neighborhood or another resident and put up something very large versus having it go to a C2. That way you would incorporate so much more control in that area than in C1. I just feel like C1 is not where something enormous belongs. Remember, neighborhood. Put yourself next to a piece of property that's C1 and see if you want to have something that's more. Yes, we already have some here. We've got the Colonial right there, Colonial Manor with the which used to be the old Winn-Dixie or the old K&B. That's large. You've got the other spaces that are large, but they're already grandfathered in because that's how it was back then. That was even before we went to the new 1333. And I understand that you need to put something, and we need to appeal to general retail services, but I'm also appealing that put yourself in your constituents' house and think about if you want to deal with more retail right next to you.
All right.
So, and in that point, that's why I'm asking, would we consider, instead of putting it in C1, put it in C2?
All right,
something higher. So
Any other questions?
my other question to him was, with the redundancy of some of the stuff in here, we didn't put anything about, no, we did, I'm sorry, thank you.
All right, anybody else have questions? Ms. Hewitt?
This isn't discussion.
I'm sorry?
This isn't discussion.
No,
this
not
is-
discussion.
okay.
Anybody else? All right, Jeff, you have?
Thank you. Just to echo a couple of things that Steve said, this proposed ordinance would actually put the same public hearing requirements on a C2 development that would exceed 10,000 square foot. That doesn't presently exist. And also, as Steve has already said, those specifically enumerated permitted uses in C1, bookstore, appliance store, furniture store, do not have a size limitation. So effectively, those could be built today without any public hearing or scrutiny by the council. I believe what will follow behind this, should you decide to adopt it, very soon after, is some standards we've discussed, and I know the council is very interested in buffering, landscaping, screening type of regulations. And I think those landscape requirements, those things will follow, I believe, in short order, so that the council, planning, zoning commission will have something to compare them to. Just to address one of the comments from a previous speaker, we do not have, and perhaps that's something you'll want to consider along with these buffering and screening standards, would be architectural standards where you can dictate looks, facades. Many communities do that hand in hand with screening and buffering requirements. So something you'll probably want to consider. Those are permitted uses: bookstore, appliance store, furniture store, general retail is everything not specifically mentioned. And I'd be happy to answer any question you may have.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you. Okay, discussion. Mr. Landry?
Yeah, I'll go. Let me preface my statements by saying that whoever the prospective buyer of Colonial is, and I'm certainly this council, is willing to sit down with anyone and discuss a plan. Or any piece of property in Harahan, because this certainly would affect any piece of property in Harahan. It's my understanding and my belief that the wording of this ordinance, we can do it now, once we have something to look at. I would feel like a heel if I would vote for this tonight, when my biggest argument in voting against Colonial's proposition was that they didn't have a plan. In that circumstance, at least there was a player. There was somebody willing to do something, but again, they didn't have a plan. With this, I don't even have a player or a plan. But I'm still under the belief that I would rather sit down with the prospective owner of Colonial and certainly work something out than to fight them tooth and nail for 2 years in a courtroom, cost the citizens and myself through taxes a tremendous amount of money to go to court, to pay the attorneys, to fight. If we can sit down and work something out. And I believe these things that are being proposed in this ordinance can be done now with our present laws. I appreciate the mayor taking steps forward to try to make something happen with Colonial. We certainly get blamed for that many times, that we're not taking proactive steps to try to make something happen, which I've discussed that in length before. But as it sits, I don't think we need this right now until someone gives us something. And hopefully, pray to God that the new prospective buyer, and we should know by mid-July, I think, Mayor?
Right.
Who's actually going to own the property. We would love to sit down and talk to him, see what he has in mind. And if things need to be changed for that specific piece of property, there are ways to do that. If he needs something that's 15,000 square feet or 20,000 square feet that works with the buffer, with the aesthetics that we're looking for, absolutely I'm for something like that. But I don't think at this point we need this ordinance at this point. So That's what I needed to say, man. Thank you very much.
Councilman Chatelain?
And I think we need the ordinance so we can welcome the players to come up and step up. And then that gives us an opportunity for them to bring the plan to us. Last time we said no one's brought a plan to the table. No one's brought a plan to the table. Now we're going to put something out there to let them know. Bring the plan to the table, maybe we'll approve it. That's all I have to say.
Councilman Bodier?
I know Colonial is still R1, and until we change it to C1, which has to be the first step in the process, this doesn't even apply. Like Councilman Chatelain, do believe that it's time to roll out a welcome mat to citizens and business. I think that it just gives us an open door policy to say to everyone that wants to come do business here, hey, look, we're willing to work with you. I'm for this ordinance, and I'm for moving the city forward.
Councilman Murray?
Yes, unlike some of my colleagues, I don't know where we closed our door to come in and say, no, we don't want to talk to anybody. I don't know where this ordinance, and I agree with Councilman Landry that I don't think we need this right now because we have no players, as he said. A good way to say that. We usually change ordinances like this when we see a need to change. We don't have anybody knocking on our door right now for a need to change this. I don't think that this, just because it's a 10,000 square feet, is a number that could have come out of thin air, that's for C1. Remember, we're talking about neighborhood commercial. We're not talking about C2. We're talking about our neighborhood. We're talking about what would be right next to us, that it needs to remain small. We are a community of rural, in essence, all residential. We moved here because we didn't like the hustle and bustle of commercial, large commercial. That's where our crime rate is low, because we have very little commercial. I think that putting this forward right now, in essence, is a redundancy of what we already have. Because if someone needed to come in and say, hey, I need 10,000 or 11,000 square feet, and I'd like to put it on this C1 property, what we can do, then, like the other councilmen say, we would be more than willing to sit down and talk to them. We may be able to do it for that specific piece of property, not for the entire city. Remember, this particular ordinance affects our entire city, right where you live. And if you live behind a piece of commercial property that's C1, it would affect you. So anybody behind Jefferson Highway, behind Hickory Street, it affects you. And it affects all the different little communities behind there, because you have to worry about, and I was just speaking to the mayor real quickly, is that we are in dire need of better flood protection. Think about having concrete next to you in the place you live, whether or not they're going to be able to drain. They can't drain on you, we know that, but now where's it going to go? That water has to go into our ditches. Our ditches can't handle the water to get out of the city. That's 99% of our problem, because it all gets stopped up back on the end of Stony Ave. So not only that, you're talking about traffic, you're talking about lighting, you're talking about garbage situation. There's so much involved to allowing a bigger piece of property or a bigger building to be built on a piece of land that it entangles all of our different services. Sewage, it entangles the police department, it entangles the fire department, it entangles our flood, it entangles all of these things that we have to look at it. And since we have quote unquote no player at the moment, we're not putting down the way other things should take place right now in this. And I can babble on and on and on. I'm not in favor of this. I think above 10,000 feet belongs in C2, not in C1, which is our neighborhood commercial district. And anything higher belongs in regular standard general commercial.
Councilman Hewitt?
Again, too, just to state that there's a cap now at 10,000, and all this ordinance is saying is if someone wants to come in at 10,005, 11,000, 12,000, that this is your roadmap that we're telling you we will at least sit down and discuss it. We will vet it out. We will entertain it. So I think all we're trying to say here is that we're open for business and we want to speak to you, want to talk to you about what you want to do in our city. I'm sure all of us here are not for higher taxes. And we need business to come into our city to bring revenue so we don't have to increase our taxes and that incur on our citizens. Mr. Stang, I appreciate your comments respectfully. And I think you have the full commitment of anybody on this council that we would not let anything be built on Jefferson Highway that would face your home and not look aesthetically pleasing and landscape and buffer. I agree with you. You go to Austin, Texas, and you go to Houston and Covington, and it's beautiful. You can't even tell there's a building there. And that's what we should all be for. If we're going to build something there, like we said, we don't even have a player, but if it happens, that we make sure if it's on our main thoroughfare, Jefferson Highway, that it's beautiful. Because our city deserves that and our citizens do. I am for the ordinance, pro-business, and I do respectfully, I appreciate everyone's concerns, and we will fully vet out anything that comes to the council.
Thank you. I have been blessed to have been elected 6 times by the citizens of the city of Harahan. I believe at this moment in the history of Harahan that the decisions made are going to reflect my legacy for the rest of my life. So I'm very concerned about these decisions, and I assure you I'm going to use whatever intellect I have or gifts I have or negotiation skills I have to do the best I can, put my best foot forward in whatever development occurs within the city during the next 2.5 years of my administration. I am confronted, as this council is confronted, with a $5,300,000 budget this year. As I said on previous occasions, Rummel High School has a higher budget than the city of Harahan. I've utilized the Band-Aid approach and rob Peter to pay Paul approach to run the city, and it's not easy. Oftentimes, it's frustrating for me to put the city in a better position. For example, if we were able to raise taxes, we would need about $150 per household per year more. Just to get us to a position where we can start doing some things that are necessary to the city. This year, the state of Louisiana gave out $4.3 billion in funds to the state. The legislature gave $4.3 billion in funds to the state. The city of Harahan received $45,000. I'm thankful. Thank you for that $45,000 state, but it goes to show you where we rank in the whole scheme of the funding of state projects. Frankly, the state says, you know, the people in Harahan are fairly well off. The median income is high. The millage rate is very low. So the state kind of says, you know, if you want to help yourself, city, raise your millage. Our millage is 15.81, which is extremely low. I can't recall right now. I think Westwego and Gretna are in the 30s or 40s. But we have very low millage. Now, this year, we have to decide, do we roll our millage forward, which most people look at as a tax increase, or do we roll our millage back and suffer additional losses in trying to fund much-needed projects within the city? Right now, we have approximately $396,000 of dedicated work in capital projects that have not been paid for yet. Projects such as some street repair, some sewer repair, some police and fire money. We have, because of Hurricane Katrina, we had to borrow money. Of the money we borrowed, we owe the government, as of today, $386,000. I requested and I've received from the federal government an extension of time to pay that. They've given me right now until they've given me until November of 2015 to pay that. So of course I take this debt and I bury it, because I'm saying, well, let me worry about it in 2014. But this is a debt that's really due today. Rob and Peter to pay Paul. Then we have an obligation. It's like a debt service for prior bonds that we obtained to help fund the city. Well, interestingly enough, as of today, we owe $4,486,000. Now we're keeping up with that. We're making our interest payments. We're making, which is about $9,000 a month. We're keeping up with the payments, but the debt, $4,486,000. Councilman Johnston's in the audience, and fortunately, it's been a long time since we had a representative from Harahan go to parish government. As a result of that, I've leaned on him, and I've requested a lot of different projects. I know that I've probably overwhelmed him with my requests, but I'm optimistic he's going to help us with 10 different street repairs, where if we had to do that, it would be over $1 million. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be done all in one day, but I'm saying that we got to rely on Jefferson Parish to help us with street repairs. And rightly so, because, you know, we have people coming in from River Ridge, from Old Metairie. We use their streets, they use our streets. The garbage has to be picked up. The amount of damage done by these garbage trucks, people don't understand. Every street the garbage truck rolls down, it damages the street. It makes us work on the streets on an earlier basis, resurfacing. Same thing with drainage. Basically, we need help cleaning our city drains. We don't have the equipment or the money to buy the equipment, these big machines to clean the drains. So, again, Councilman Johnston has been kind enough to say, you know, let me try and help you with that. That would be an expense of about $360,000 for us if we had to pay for it. We have what's called a sinking bond fund, which we owe $741,000. That matures in March of 2017. I went to Baton Rouge earlier in the year, requested and received confirmation of a $3 million loan to help fix our deteriorating sewer system. Problem is, I have no way to repay the loan, so I can't get the money. The state says, here's your money, how are you going to repay it? And I'm saying, well, I don't know. I don't have a way to repay the loan. I don't have any income other than what we use. You know, we use all our income for our departments. You know, thank God Harahan is such a small funding city. Because, you know, all these larger cities, people go to jail because there's a lot of overspending and mismanagement. And in Harahan, we don't get any of that because what we have is very little to work with. So the state's got the money on hold. How do we come up with money to repay the loan? Now, these are all issues that the council is going to have to deal with. Do we add money to a water bill? Do we try and get more millage? And in the conglomeration of all this, I made a decision which is welcome by some, not welcome by others. Those in closer proximity to the project don't like it. As you move out within the city of 10,000 people, when you get to the outskirts of the project, they don't even know about it. So I did write this ordinance because I thought it was an opportunity to create more money for the city in tax dollars, with the understanding that the council still, planning and zoning has to review it, regulatory has to review it, the council has to review it. There's got to be public hearings that get to vote. At the end of the day, there's going to be a vote. I want to see what proposals come our way. I don't want to say every proposal is going to be accepted, because it will not be. But with the council's scrutiny and approval, I'm of the opinion that something's going to work to help generate more tax dollars for our city, so we can provide the services of being able to flush your toilet, being able to run our departments properly, making sure that the seniors have a place to congregate. It's, you know, the dedication right now of your council is such that nobody wants to be perceived to do something that offends the community. With that in mind, there are going to be some people who will be dissatisfied with the decisions that will be made. 10 years from now, I hope those people might say and recall, you know, maybe that in the beginning they were nervous, but it turned out well. We've got so much input. If somebody tried to build a birdhouse on Colonial, we got so much input, it's pathetic. Does the birdhouse have enough concrete? Does it have enough air? Does it have enough buffer zone? Does it have enough sewer place? All those have to be considered. The streets, the lighting, the sewage, fire hydrants. Do they have to put a new sewer plant right there? Do they have to have a police, some type of police station there? I mean, all these things are going to be considered. It's not a, here's your $500 application, see you later. I think the whole project's going to take somewhere between 8 and 10 years to develop. And I may not be in office by the time the first, whatever it is, goes up. I don't know. But hopefully, we'll see and reap the benefits of something that the community can live with. So I ask for your vote for this ordinance. I think it's the right thing to do. I think that sometimes you have to make decisions that offend your family. And this is one of those situations, because that's what Harahan is, a family. A community of families, that's all it is. So people are going to be offended by it, but you vote. Seize the opportunity. You still have a way to control this thing. Put all of your effort towards controlling what the ordinance is going to want to do, rather than say to the outward community, Harahan doesn't even want to entertain anything. So, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Okay.
Yeah.
Any opposed?
Aye.
3-2, the ordinance passes. Madam Clerk?
Ordinances for introduction.
Mayor?
You have one other ordinance, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Mayor?
Yes.
Number 2, is it okay that we defer that ordinance because it's going to take so long to go through it? It's a gazillion pages. That's the International Building Code.
I think he's going to defer it. He's got a couple changes to make.
Well, we have a lot of changes to make.
The motion to defer by Murray,
Second.
second by Hewitt, all in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays.
That way we don't have to worry about it.
All right, Madam Clerk? Ordinances for introduction.
All right, number 1, an ordinance adopting a capital projects budget for the Recreation Department of the City of Harahan, Louisiana, for place-off material on the ground at the kids' playground.
I'll take that, Mayor.
All right. Next.
Number 2, an ordinance adopting a capital projects budget for the Recreation Department of the City of Harahan, Louisiana, a walk-behind scrubber for the gym floor.
I'll take that, too.
All right, next.
Number 3, an ordinance adopting a capital projects budget for the Recreation Department of the City of Harahan, Louisiana, waterproof paint and install new screens at perimeter around top of gym.
I got it.
Boudier, next.
Number 4, an ordinance adopting a capital projects budget for the Recreation Department of the City of Harahan, Louisiana, for a 500-pound cube ice machine.
Hewitt, next.
And number 5, an ordinance adopting a capital projects budget for the Maintenance Department of the City of Harahan, Louisiana, for street repairs.
Murray, next.
Eric's got it.
All right, old business, recycling. Anybody have any discussion? You heard the introduction. We're going to get some prices for you and bring it on the agenda next month. Any discussion? Next, act of transfer. For those of you that don't know, the state, through its Division of Administration, filed a lawsuit wherein we lost that property where Popeye's adjacent to Harahan Elementary School that we thought we owned, but come to find out the state thinks differently. But in the judgment, we were told that they would give us concessions of money that we used for 30 years that we maintained it or whatever. Sorry? So I'm asking the city attorney to get the money.
Yeah, it didn't get that far where they said they would. We met with Senator Martini and State Representative Kirk Talbot, but I'll follow up with them to see if we can get it done.
Is there a case pending?
Yeah, it's still open. Well, it was appealed and we lost. It's still open though.
All right, but we got to go into that case and get the funds, right?
Yeah, but we got to get it funded by the state. So
I'd like to try and get over 50,000.
Absolutely.
yeah, that's
For the- it's
that's
for the
not the number they were
maintenance?
talking about.
What are we asking for?
I'm asking for 50.
No, I mean,
We asked for a lot more than that.
that's what I was going to, what are we
I can tell you
asking for?
this,
What are we
we
going to
asked for
settle
probably
for? It's
100
too
and something
different.
thousand. We came up with a calculation without getting too far into it in case we have to try the case. It requires proof of everything that we've done to the property, every time we've cut it, et cetera. Nevertheless, the number that was being floated around was
Well, they want the
25,000.
problems. Who wants it?
See what happens.
You don't know what it costs to cut a lot.
So can we contact them, see if they want to settle?
Sure.
All right, Madam Clerk, old business, appointment of Patrick McDaniel. I think there's a motion by Chatelain to defer this, second by Bodier.
What's the deferral for? Well, we need a deferral business.
I'm going to write the ethics board and get something in writing.
Okay. Because I had asked last time, just to make sure we were correct on it, if the attorney would look into.
We're going to write him a letter.
After the last meeting, someone attacked us in the
All in favor? Any opposed?
Is it yay that we in favor of
Deferred.
Deferred.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, we can just maintain it for all.
5 yeas, no nays, it's deferred. Madam Clerk, anybody else want to, any new business?
That already,
Yeah,
right?
we skipped to new business. It's deferred.
Anybody want to address the council? Madam Clerk, Secretary's report.
Secretary's report for May 2012, revenues $236,591.26.
Next, reports. We got the bills to pay first?
Yeah, the council paid the bills of May 2012 in the amount of $442,146.48.
Reports, Councilman Hewitt? Councilman Murray?
Just one quick thing, Mayor, just for the clerks, that Fire Chief St. Cyr was not here, but he had someone in his place that was Chris Benoit.
Great.
that
Thank you
was
for
in his
coming.
place, so, thank you. And I have no report.
Bodier?
Just a couple quick things. I wanted to thank Jimmy Dudenhofer for putting on a dance at the gym. It was a benefit to help out the Harahan Athletic Association. He's going to do it again, so please keep your eyes posted. We had a really good time. We'd like to see a bigger turnout. I'd like to see the community get more involved in that. Also, Steve Monajan at the St. Rita fishing tournament. It was awesome. We had a blast. Man, he did a really good job, and it's an honor to be this guy's friend because he is a worker beyond belief. And I just wanted to wish everybody a happy 4th of July and be safe.
Councilman Shelley?
A report.
Councilman Landry?
I was asked to remind everybody about the farmer's market. It's the second and fourth Saturday of every month. There's one coming this Saturday. I'd like to congratulate Councilman Chatelain on that 48.6-pound red snapper.
No, limit fish.
The red snapper.
Red snapper, 28 pounds. 28 pounds.
That was the big one we took a picture of? Anyway, it was huge, biggest one I've ever saw. I'm not a fisherman, but it was a
40 pound
big
red
one.
snapper, we're gonna be in the record book.
And thank Father Hurt for all his service, his generosity to the city, and most of all for your friendship, Father. It's been
And
nice
I
working
too
with
want to thank Father Herb for his spirituality and friendship to the city, and be sorely missed. Hope you can come back and visit. Harahan, come by City Hall, get a cup of coffee, open door policy, see the mayor, chat with the staff. Keep those emails coming in about recycling. We're interested in your opinion. And any suggestions you have to make Harahan a better place, please submit them to us. Madam Clerk?
Got a report.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chief's report.
Gotta leave the chief out, man. Chief, we just want to know that you got some coyotes. For the love of all that is holy, please tell us you got some coyotes.
You didn't watch the
we
news
did.
last night?
We did.
Holy smoke.
You had a special on the news.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilman. Got my report here from last month. I just wanted to go over it real quickly with y'all. Number of calls for service, we had 782. Of those, 14 of them were accidents. Number of citations issued was 387. Of that, we had 465 charges. No funeral escorts, 12 patrol requests. The number of arrests, we had 64 arrests, a total of 101 charges. Of that, 6 were traffic, 8 were felony, 75 were misdemeanor, and 12 were city. Properties against persons in crime would be no murders, no rapes, no robberies, no attempted robberies. We had 1 residential burglary, no non-residential burglaries, no auto theft, no attempted auto theft. The only other thing we had is we had 10 larceny thefts and 13 assaults. I also want to thank Chris Roberts for coming last week to our crime prevention meeting we have at the Senior Center on the 4th Friday of every month. He gave a speech about crime reduction and blighted property. It was very informative. I enjoyed it. Thank him for coming. And the Friday, June 28th at 1 o'clock, the Senior Center, we have another crime prevention meeting, and John Young will be there, our parish president, and he will be giving a speech on hurricane preparation. So please come if you can make it. That's Friday, June 28th at 1 o'clock at the Senior Center. And that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
Can we ask the chief if he can add to his report number of coyotes killed?
I was going to see if we can make a line item for that. Only when we get them, I want to add the line item.
Yeah, we need to add a little line there, number of coyotes killed.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
By Bode, second by Murray. All in favor? Any opposed? 5 days, no nays.